Hello, hello. Welcome to the bonus edition of the repair stream for Friday, November 14th, 2025. I gotta get my other glasses here. This was not expected, but I decided it was in my best interest to come on board. I wanted to get these desk pens done. I was trying to figure out how to do this because our photo day is normally on Mondays. And if I don't get these done, plain water, yeah. It's going to be probably a very short stream. I need to assemble and test some desk pens today, and then I'm out of here. But if I follow the normal schedule, then these won't be ready until Tuesday, and it means my daughter's got to make an extra trip. I mean, it's not terribly far, but it's far enough for her. So I thought, well, why don't I've got the shipping all done and out of the way. Let's put these together and test them out and be done. So maybe an hour today. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 pens to do, and then we're done. So Juicy, yeah, you're looking up Crest Ultrasonics. I do use them. I've used them for probably the better part of close to 15 years. I'm very happy with them. Their service. Olive Octopus, how you doing with the raid? I've been using Crest, for 15 years. I'm very happy with them. Their customer service is outstanding. Yeah, from Corolla. Yeah, early stream. Short. It's going to be a short early stream today. Good morning, Indy. They work well. I've always bought mine. Essentially, I bought mine off of eBay, used units off of eBay. But Crest, I've only had to contact Crest once, and they were very very good about it. But you like the new mustache? Yeah, it's Movember. So if you haven't been following, November is Movember, supporting men's health. This is my daily pitch. Men's health. Suicide awareness, prevention, testicular cancer, prostate cancer, all that stuff. Men don't take care of. We don't take care of ourselves very well. So this is just a reminder. So if men out there, get yourself checked up. Get yourself, get all that stuff. Do it. Just do it. Somebody out there loves you. They want you to stick around. Yeah, November is coming along. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that I like it, but the cause is absolutely worth it. So, yeah, like December 1st, it's coming off, probably, most likely. But it's kind of fun. I never had a mustache before, so my mom sees it, she's gonna flip out. I'm sure of it, but anyway. You started late, so shorter stream for you too. Yeah, and it's time for the day job, but you'll be lurking. All right, sounds good, Al. Thank you so much. All right, so we're gonna get right into this. I don't really have much else to say other than that. Here's what we got to do. This is the job for today. We got to get these done. I got to find nibs for a couple of them. We're gonna test them, make some sense of this mess. I have I have one of these, and as a talking point, it does bring attention to important cause. Yes. So, and I'm as guilty as the next guy. Of, yeah, I'm fine. I don't need to see a doctor. And we've all had too many men in our lives that probably should have gone to see a doctor sooner than later, and it's been problematic. So, all right. Let's assemble. Actually, let's see what we got for nibs. So we've got the big question is what are we going to be putting these in? So I've got the desk bases all set up. I just have to, once I get them, I'm going to assign them to something. Usually the colored bases get a more plain pen unless there's something like, you know, this sand here goes really well with the burgundy bases. So I try to put the colored pens with the black bases, and then the colored bases get black pens. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. That way, you don't get a black. I mean, you know, there's call for a black pen and a black base, but you know, if we can spice it up, I think we should. All right, we got a 9550 here, which I've really come to appreciate more and more. If they're tuned right. I got no nib there. We'll get back to that. 9556. This looks nice. Much later. Much later, nib. Oh. All right, so that's no good. We got to knock this one out. Funny enough, so we did the Thursday stream an hour early so I could end an hour early so I could go home. And yesterday we got our Graph ink in the mail, and Graph and Otto Hutt, actually. Otto Hutt makes ink. And we spent a little extra time in the afternoon kind of sorting some of that out. So I didn't actually get home as early as I wanted to, but I was able to, while Lisa was doing some swabs and things like that, I was able to package up some of the orders and get that out of the way. So this morning was a little bit lighter. There's a little bit of schmutz on here, not much. No rest for the wicked, as they say. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we actually got a lot done in. It's the underside of the nib. We got a lot done in like an hour. So that's not going to give you a good flow. Now this is one of those weird feeds that doesn't actually have a channel in it until the very end. It's a much later model. Ah, jiggling the whole desk here. I was just afraid if I didn't do this today, it was going to be, these are going to be sitting around here for an extra 2 days or an extra week. Pen and ink. Thank you for the follow. Welcome aboard. So I thought I'm just going to get these done or get as many done as possible. It's not going to take a terrible lot of time, but I was finding myself shopping online. I said, you know what, I better not spend any money. So you're using a Leonard Principle extra fine nib. How do you make it smoother without losing its thin lines? Your best bet is gentle application of Mylar. 12,000 grit, like on the buff stick, would be okay, but I would try Mylar first. And I would avoid doing, the figure eight thing. If it gives you feedback in a particular direction, make sure the tines are straight, of course. They have to be straight. If you start smoothing something and the tines are not straight, then it's never going to be good. But if it's not smooth in a particular direction, do that particular direction on the Mylar, or use, or write something on it. But usually what I do is I use would do like the Richard Binder technique, which is to take the pen to the Mylar, and he does what he calls ticking. So you put it at kind of a high angle, and you just do this, and you rotate the nib to get, if there's what he calls it micro mountains is what he calls it. So if you look at it at a microscopic level, there's a piece of metal that is causing, the feedback, and you tick those off, essentially, is what he calls it. And you push down and you flick it away. You have to be careful with dip pen nibs. You have to be careful with too much pressure. But that's kind of the general idea, and that's probably where I would start. Good morning, Brian. Your most loyal customer from Appleton is back. Finally found you guys again on YouTube. Welcome. While I'm here, I'm just going to clean this slit. This should be good to go. And what I would say on the Mylar is use the finest grit first. If that doesn't work, move down to the, which I believe is the blue, and then move down to the pink if that's not giving you the results you need. Of course, if you go to the pink, then you have to go down. Then I would recommend doing the blue again afterward. Well, that worked out all right. There we go. Usually this has got to be like what, in the middle of your afternoon, huh? It really doesn't matter what nib goes in which one. I'm just going to kind of. Like a ticking clock, you mean in those small increments in an entire circle of the clock or half moon from 9 to 3? No, like I don't have a piece of Mylar handy, but I can show you with a piece of paper. So this is the pen I'm using, the Mylar, and this is assuming this is Mylar. If I know if I'm writing to the right and it scratches, it's typically the left, but I guess that's immaterial. But what you do is you hold it at a very high angle. I'm almost perpendicular to the page, and you rest it on the Mylar and you do that. It's spicy. Yeah, it is rare to see me early, and it is rare to be using color. No, not necessarily. So this is blue ink. This is blue. Actually, no. This is that same Colorverse Virgo, that teal. Yeah, but you put down and just, and I'm almost no pressure, and then rotate it. Yeah, it's. I got new lights, and I don't like them. I mean, I like them, but they're not doing me any favors here. But I just rotate the nib all directions, and whether or not you get ink coming out is another matter. And just that's all you have to do. And that should, and as long as you get all the way around, kind of think about working your way around. You know, I've even got it upside down here. Work your way around the tipping material. That's what you do. You don't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be scientific half moon, and you know, you just and then try it. But again, that it was almost, I won't say it wasn't any pressure, but you don't want to have enough pressure where, especially with the dip pen, because it will flex. You know, and that motion is unnatural for flexing. So you just be careful. I mean, you'll figure it out. Have I been enjoying that Colorverse ink? Yeah, it's Russell. I am not confused what day it is. Yeah, I like it. It's kind of a happy ink. It kind of matches my my coffee mug, which is I have not finished yet, so I've only had one cup of coffee. I haven't brought the Colorverse line back in, the Cardinal pens, but we probably will at some point. There's just so many inks. Don't ever use figure eight. Yeah, don't ever use figure eight. The problem with figure eight is you could actually end up creating a baby bottom situation. you really want to use, what you want to do is get yourself a micro mesh buff stick. Forget these two sides. Don't ever use these two sides, okay? Just use the gray. This is 12,000 grit. This pen doesn't have a nib, so I'll use this one. But I don't have a nib to smooth yet. I'll just pretend this is touching. But what you want to do is you want to hold the pen and you want to roll the pen side to side. Okay? Roll the pen side to side, and then you can do one of two things. What you want to do is, again, we want to think about polishing the entire surface of the nib. Roll it side to side. You can raise the pen up, or what I do sometimes, because it's just easier, is I keep the pen in the same motion, and I'm rolling to, when I get to the right, I'm rolling to the right, and that polishes the right tine, the right side of the nib. Then I get to the left, it polishes the left side. I will gradually raise up the buff stick. And then I will also, I'll raise the bottom end up, which is the same as moving it down to polish to get to the bottom side. And then I will take one or two stripes in this manner on the stick. And that polishes the whole thing as a whole. And then I try it out. And you can, and then from there you can, if you want to, you can go to the Mylar. I find the 12,000 grit is, I don't mind a little feedback in my pens because some of the paper today is just so smooth that it's, yeah, if you do the up, down, the down, up, right, to the right, to the left, you'll find out where it is. And that gives you an idea, but as long as the tines are aligned perfectly, if you rock it side to side, you're going to polish the entire nib and then raise it. And then what that does is that eliminates any issues as far as, you know, how you, or if you're doing it for anybody else, or you're trying to tune it for someone else, how they, you know, what angle they hold the pen, it will be polished. But yeah, don't do figure eights. That's just such a, that's one of those things in the fountain pen hobby that just kind of needs to really go away. All right, where are my nibs? But, you know, just take it slow. We'll put that there. Actually, let's do this. Let's do that. Give me a second here. Need to text my daughter. How about a rigid medium on that black guy? Nice fine nib on the dipless. Polished these yesterday, so they should be good to go then. You have some Jinhao nibs to try grinding? Wish you luck. Yeah. What loop do you use? 40X isn't enough for me. Personally, I use a Belomo 10X. This guy here. I sell a 10X, a 20X. They're not Belomo. I tried to get Belomo, but Belomo has a Belomo does wholesale, but their discount is like I want to say it's like 5%. I mean, it's just not worth it's not worth it for me to retail retail Belomo. And now Belomo's more expensive. It is absolutely more expensive. The ones that I sell are just fine. I actually got one or two of them up by the over by my shipping area, which I'll use from time to time. But the one on my desk is a Belomo triplet. It's a real high quality piece of glass. But you really you really don't need much more than 10X, 10 or 20X. Because you don't need you don't need a microscope. You just, you need the loop to see if the tines are aligned. If the tines like this, that's all you need to know. You use a 30X with your reading glasses? Okay. In fact, Richard Binder would tell you that you don't need anything other than a 10X. That's what he tells you. You're half blind too. Okay, I mean, maybe in that case, I mean, but really, we're not trying to see imperfections on the nib. I mean, down to that kind of level. You're really using your nib for the rest is all by feel, right? If the tines are aligned, get whatever magnification you need to make that happen. And then the rest is all feel anyway. Because you can't see there's little imperfections on the nib. It's impossible to see. This is not paste. This is talc. It's 100% pure talc. And what that does is that lubricates the sack. So when we put it in here, it just slides in. It doesn't get caught on the J bar. It doesn't. It just stays nice and lubricated. If you don't, you run the risk of the sack bunching up. Asbestos-free talc, yes. Ideally, that's what you want. Yeah, you don't want asbestos in your talc. Good morning, Vlad. I actually have a dipless. It's been sitting in the ultrasonic overnight. I didn't take it out, so we're going to have to take that out and clean that. How do you make the textured brown rubber barrel black again on an old Waterman pen? People say sand it off, but I lose the texture. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Absolutely do not. Do not. So what you're calling texture is what they call chasing. It's black chased hard rubber. Do not use sandpaper. That will work. You know, you can use micromesh, but that would just be silly. What you want is this right here. And I just got this in stock. This is Dr. G's deoxidizer. If you watch this channel, if you continue to watch this channel, you'll see I have this. This is now kind of black, but this will still work. I have this little bin of the deoxidizer in here. What you do is you put the parts in here and you let it sit. And then after, it depends on the pen, a half hour. I found that generally speaking, a half hour is a good amount of time to test it. Half hour to an hour. Pull it out and then you rub it off with the cotton cloth. And what you do is you rub it until you start to actually hear it squeak. And then that gets all the old, essentially the old sulfur off the barrel. And then what I use after that is this, which I don't have in stock yet, but it's coming, the Dr. G's Pen Rejuvenator, the Clean and Shine. I spray that on there, and I let it soak in, and then I polish it off. But yeah, don't be sanding off, chasing on hard rubber pens. That's going to take all the value away from the pen, or a lot of it. The Diploset's in the ultrasonic. Well, it was running, but it's not that dirty. But it's soaked overnight. Now, if you've got a plain black hard rubber pen or part, then something like, you know, I use the micromesh pads, you know, like a section or something that has no chasing on it, then you can do that. But it should be micromesh. Don't go out to your garage and grab your sandpaper for your, you know, the micromesh will do the trick. But I use the Dr. G's on a weekly basis. I'm using it for something. It's good for a lot of things. It's good for, obviously for blackening hard rubber parts, sections, Parker Duofold, inner caps, blind caps. It's also really good for getting ink out of Parker 51 collectors, inside of caps. It has many uses other than black hard rubber, but I haven't put a whole pen in the Dr. G's in a while, but occasionally I do. I don't actually mind that olive look to it. I quite like it. This is a terrible example because this is actually perfect black. So, which is unusual. But like Esterbrook Model B dollar pens, they're almost never black. And just understand that even things like the Dr. G's doesn't really, it might not get it completely perfect. It just depends on the application, how long you soak it, how well you rub it off. How do they machine that? The chasing, you mean? I mean, they had chasing machines. Yeah, they had chasing machines. This guy is really tight. Have I tried to make my own pen in a lathe? No. That is not, I am not even remotely interested in doing that. Yardelette does their metal chasing by hand. Yeah. I do have a lathe. I'm oh goodness. I'm in the process of getting it set up, but I'm going to use it to um, make some tools and some parts and things like that. There's simply there's too many people making pens right now. Um, there's enough. The world doesn't need me to be making pens. All right, this doesn't need anything. Those are assembled. And there's enough people making pens that probably shouldn't be. So, um, world doesn't need another Yovo stick made by me. Oh, that's an extra fine on that. If you like extra fine, that's the pen for you. Indy, that's for you. Too many pens? You've not heard of that concept? I mean, let's be honest. Like, there's so many, and I'm not trying to poo-poo anybody. I'm just saying there's so many people that are making Yovo sticks, and the only differentiating factor is the material. Indy, you know, because this is an extra fine and it's in a black pen, that means it's going to have a really cool base. I don't know what base I'm going to pick with it. I got a feeling these, I'm going to have to take the taper off of these to get them into the spinner. You're watching. I have your attention. Now this is a 9556, so it really should be broader than this. But it's fairly, what's a Yovo stick? It's a bad word on the West Coast. Yovo stick is what we affectionately call pens that use Yovo nibs, because Yovo is the big pen nib manufacturer, and all of the, you've got a lot of custom makers that make pens, and they make them so that they fit Yovo nibs. Half the time, a lot of these manufacturers don't even stamp their name on the nib or on the pen. That's better. Yeah, they're not necessarily bad. They're generic. Might have gone a little bit too far in that. That's the right time was kind of pointed in a little bit. But Brian, we need a Cardinal Pens red and green acrylic blanket. Least, well, hey, I'm not saying I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. I'm not saying, you know, and thank you, Juicy, for saying it's you know, it's not necessarily bad. It's just, I mean, that's what we call. I mean, how do we differentiate between uh, all the custom makers that are basically making the same thing? Um, you know, I have had conversations with a couple of larger manufacturers on a custom pen for us here at Cardinal. They haven't gone into the planning stages, but we've had discussions that it's definitely a possibility. It's probably not a 2025 project, but 2026. Absolutely. I don't see why not. So this nib, and you can see I'm going using the full width of the. I feel a little bit of a grind on this side. The tines are aligned, but I'm feeling a little bit of something here. Red and green or red and brown, maybe. We gotta incorporate the female kernel into the mix. So this nib slit was cut off center. It's salvageable, but this was not the quick. I guess I still got a little bit of time. Okay, now it feels better. Oh yeah, yeah, night and day, night and day. Another thing to remember too is these don't last forever. So if you're not getting the results you think it should be, it's time to replace the stick. So that writes more like a medium than just how it's gonna be. And I had someone ask the other day about why I had two different pens on the website with I don't remember what it was 90 25 56. One said fine, one said medium. Well, I grade them based on how they actually write, not how Esterbrook said that nib was supposed to write. Um, and if the nib writes smooth and it writes good, then that's what it's going to be. I'm not gonna sit there and try to make this write like a. It may never write like a 9556. So you got to read the description. I suppose I could just stop including the nib number, but people are going to see it and they're going to say, well, 9556 should be fine. And then they're going to get it and it's going to write like a medium. And it's out a good amount of water, that's for sure. Yeah, I do hope to have, would be nice to have our own little custom pen next year, but for now we'll continue doing what we're doing. Here's another one for Indy. Boy, this one looks like it's going to be a back scratcher. Well, that's a nice nib, actually. I like that much better than this. It's got a little bit. It's still extra fine, but it's really got some flow to it. All right, up next we got a black on black. Fairly late black taper, spoon style lever. Nice. You know, this one's a 2668 nib, should be a medium, but it really writes more like a broad. I like that a lot. Actually, this will be awesome because then Monday we can start out with a whole fresh batch of something. I got a bunch of vacs, but I'm waiting for a shipment of vac diaphragms. I don't want to use up everything I have. Yeah, actually, I was thinking of something along the lines of two custom pens. One with the red, with a little red in it, and then another with the colors of the female cardinal. And then they'd be a set. That's a nice nib too. Really nice. Needs nothing. Actually, I've got one more desk pen on Monday I want to do. It's super cool. All right, these should be real quick because these are new old stock. So, oh yeah. So this is a new old stock, and you can see this actually writes closer to a broad, right out of the box. You know, yeah. It's also going to depend on your paper. And, uh-oh, my mother-in-law is texting me. That can't be good. I don't know why she's asking me this question. Do it. She's asking me if my front door is wood or metal. I should tell her to jump on YouTube and say hi. Let's see what she says. She jumps in on the chat when we do the podcast from time to time. Is she planning on breaking it? Well, that would be impressive because she lives in Florida, so she's a long way from here. She can break it anytime she wants. And I forget the actual model of this particular. I'm just going to call him a W because I know what that means. It's not really for this one. It's not really the model. Um, I mean, it is super smooth. This is as you expect it. No, she is coming to visit, I think, in a few months, early spring. So that'll be nice. I mean, is welcome to come for Thanksgiving. Which just mentioning that makes me hungry. All right, that's that. We got this dipless. What do we got? 2556. This is new old stock too. So I'm just gonna, well, I guess what you do is you dip it. And that's almost more of an extra fine. I can even see how extra fine that is. That's an X. I mean, right closer to extra fine, but as a dip pen, it's going to have all this ink in the feed. It's going to write. It's going to write broader because at least until you write it out, and then it will thin out a little bit. All right, next up, let's see. I'm going to spin them out, but I also need to look at a couple of these. For tapers, and I'm going to go the cheap way out here. Only because I don't want to. Let's see which ones are. That's good. This one's a little rough. That one. This one could be better. That's fine. That's fine. Fix this lever here. So far two. It looks like I got two. So I need two barrels or two tapers. Hang on. So in the interest of saving time, I'm just going to try to find. Well, that's not it. Two pens with better tapers. These are all super dirty, so it's really hard to. That one will work. That one's not bad. All right, we'll just polish it up a little bit. This should be good to go. This is fixable. It's got these little bite marks on here, but I don't really want to mess around with it right now. those. These are done. I only need to buy that many more desk sets, and then I'll stop. But that's not true. These are just the lever fills. I've got a whole nother bag of dipless. And I've got a whole other box. Everybody's texting me. Give me just a second here. Sorry about this. One of these days, I got to bring my my Cardinal pen, Cardinal brand pen. In and see if that needs a new sack. I picked it up and I think I told a story about it. Well, I may or may not have told a story about it because it happened in May at the Chicago Pen Show, and we hadn't told people what we were going to call the new company at that point. There were still some things that needed to be sorted out, but I had known about this pen company in the 50s, the 40s and 50s called Cardinal. It was kind of in the New Jersey area. If I do a Cardinal pen, I need the Cardinal nib. Yeah, I mean, I did get the Kirk Spear Cardinal nib for the Ohio show. I had to have that. That's cute. But yeah. But so anyway, I decided this company was in New Jersey, and years ago I had done research, and for the life of me, I lost some of the research. But was trying to figure out if there was actually a connection to Esterbrook, like a sub brand, because these pens were made very close. Some of them were made very close to the factory in Camden, and I recall seeing at one point. For the life of me, I no longer have the image, or if I have the image, I don't know where it is. An image that had a card, the retailer's point of sale display with, for 10 Cardinal pens or whatever. And it had the address, being in Camden. And I thought, well, you know what? We got to figure this out. If this is perfect, if this pen company is actually related to Esterbrook in any way, shape, or form, it's like so perfect. It's unbelievable. I've not been able to actually secure that research. I'm led to believe now that it's a coincidence that they were in the same area. I don't think they are related, but regardless, I've had Cardinal pens before, and they're not terribly high-end pens. They're student pens, really, steel nibs. They have a certain Venus aesthetic about them, and anyway, I decided you just don't find them very often. There's a couple on eBay right now. But you don't find them very often. I mean, nobody cares about them except for me. And so I decided I was going to look for them at the um, at the Chicago show, and there were a number of dealers that had bins on their table with bins of pens, and then, these are 10, these are 15, these are 20, whatever. And our good friend Osmond Sumer, who's from Germany, he's the big Mont Blanc guy. If you don't know him, um, he was standing next to me as I was kind of sorting through the pens, and he said, "Well, what are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking for this, and I'm doing this thing where I'm looking and I'm talking to him and I'm kind of grabbing things that catch my eye, without really paying attention to what's on the clip or anything." He bought all the Sonic pens at the auction, so he says, "Well, what are you looking for?" I said, "Well, I'm looking for this kind of obscure second tier pen made in the 40s and 50s called Cardinal." And as I did that, I reached my hand into, there was, I don't know, there are 50 pens, 40 pens in this container. I literally reached in, grabbed a pen, pulled it out as I was telling Osmond I'm looking for a Cardinal, and there was a Cardinal pen. Very weird, very weird. I said, "Oh, like this right here." A steel nib's not a cardinal sin, no. No pun intended. Sometimes there's backyard sales, and I've seen pens, sometimes vintage. How do you usually tell if the pen is unrepairable? Yeah, I'll never be able to repeat that feat for the rest of my life. It was unbelievable. It was, I couldn't believe it. I was actually like dumbstruck. I just like, how do you know something's unrepairable? You have to know. You have to know. You have to know how to identify damage, what parts are available, what parts are achievable, how long you want to wait for parts. I've got pens that I know finding the right parts at the right price, right? You can't just go buy a part for $1,000. Yeah, someone will sell you anything for $1,000, right? I have pens that I may have to wait 20 years to get the right part for. I'm okay with that. But I'm also different because I am not trying to use the pens that I collect. Well, so here's the thing. Unless you're going to do the repairs yourself, understand that anything is going to cost you money. Even a simple lever fill repair is going to, there's lots of people who do them. People do them cheaper than me. I'm not the most expensive by far. But you're talking, you got shipping both ways. You're looking, Parker 61 Aero inlays, pricier than the pens. Yeah, so that's just how it is. There are pens that, if it doesn't have a cap, forget it. You're just not going to find it. If it needs a nib, unless it's like an Esterbrook or something like that, You know, you have to learn how to repair your own pens, and then that really changes things a lot. But the availability of certain parts, and there's literally thousands and thousands of different parts. Um, there's a lot to know. I mean, don't buy anything that has cracks. Especially if it's a pen that fills in the barrel. If the barrel's cracked, you can't. I mean, I suppose it's fixable, but at some level, but it'll never hold ink. If it's a vacuum fill pen, any part of the pen other than the cap that's cracked, including the blind cap, like on a touchdown or a snorkel, the pen won't fill, even if the blind cap is cracked and the barrel's fine. It won't fill completely. So avoid cracks at all costs. Make sure the pen's got the essential 3 parts. It's got to have a nib. It's got to have a good nib. Don't buy stuff with bent nibs unless you're going to learn how to straighten nibs. Don't buy stuff without tipping. If it doesn't have tipping, it's not going to, you're not going to get it retipped. There's only one person that retips right now. And unless it's an exceptionally rare nib, it's cheaper to buy a new nib. So make sure the nib is good. The nib is straight. It has tipping. No cracks. Make sure there's a cap. And most pens had a clip, except for like ring tops. So if it doesn't have a clip, I mean, it may not be a deal breaker, but and you may not care, but it does affect the value. Don't overpay for something that doesn't have all the parts. If it's a lever, a snorkel, a touchdown, a vacuumatic, a lot of that stuff can be repaired. If you start getting into funky filling systems, you can do a nib bris and make it an Italian. I mean, I guess you could. But then you have to know how to smooth out a nib. Anybody can cut a nib. My mother-in-law can't seem to find where the chat is. I don't know what to tell her. That's what Doug Rathburn does. Yeah. How am I going to do this? This is way too long. Fit in there. And it's too short. Will it fit in here? Do we do this? No, that's too tight. No. That's dangerous, but thought it came out. All right, so these guys are done. Let's take a real quick look at the base. That's a pretty good group. Good writers, most of them. Well, all of them. I mean, forget the fact I don't like extra fines. Let's see. This had no cork on the bottom, so it was no big deal for it to soak. Yeah, I know. I didn't have a thumbnail for today. I get all the thumbnails on Monday for the week, and since I don't do them on Fridays, I didn't have one for today until after my daughter got up. So she sees me. She sees me talking, but she doesn't know where the chat is, and I'm not certain where it is because I don't ever. Okay, we're gonna pull that apart. I think I remember you said you like sturdy non-flex nib, right? Medium to broad. Yeah, I'm not a big flex nib guy. I like a medium or broad nib. I mean, it depends. If it's a nice wet fine, I like those two. The Waterman Carred fine is a really nice nib. This is old adhesive from the last little bit of cork. I've got cork, so I'll just cut adhesive cork, so I'll just adhesive back cork. So I'm just gonna cut out some squares, stick 3 on there because I always had 3, and we'll be good to go. Where did I do it? Esterbrook CA 101. Yeah, that's a decent pen. Uh, I like them just because they're every part of them unscrews. If you get the CA 101, not the A 101, which looks identical, except the A 101 has an aerometric filler, a squeeze style filler, which is fine. But if you get the CA 101, and I've got a bunch that I'm going to put up on the website one of these days. The CA 101 will fit a platinum converter. And the ones that I'm going to list will have platinum converters in them. All right, this is my last little thing, and then I am not going to count these. I hate doing this only because it's difficult to get everything nice and neat. Look how nice and neat that is in there. I am upsetting the apple cart. I know. For science, I oughta. I oughta count them. So I do this to make sure that there's no residual ink stuck on these rods. And what you see here is just what was on the back side. So I don't actually see any ink coming off of these, which is good. So either the soak was good or it was relatively cleaned at one point in time. Now the trick is to get them back in. So far, so good. Sorry, Hans, if you watch this later. But when you roll these on there, if you see that there's, black stuff coming off, then you got to keep rolling them, because sometimes you've got ink stuck in between, and you really need them all to be free of other stuff for the capillary action to work. Gabriel, good morning. Yeah. Yeah, I really needed to get this done. I wanted this done, so I didn't plan it very well. But my normal photography day is on Monday, so if I didn't get this done today, these 10 desk sets are just not going to get, they're going to be sitting around here for 2 weeks. And I thought just a little bit of work and I could get them done and ready, and then we can have them up on the website by the end of next week. Otherwise, it's going to be a full other week after that. Not that these are the biggest seller on the planet, but I have a place for desk sets that are available for sale. But I don't really have a place for desk sets that aren't on the website. So Really, this is just an organizational exercise. Wow, this went together really nice. I don't think I've had one go together this well, this easy in a long time. Chronic, thanks for the follow. Welcome. Clean this off a little bit here. Nice thing is these only go together one way. So if you take them apart, they're pretty easy to put back together. Says the man who's putting it back together incorrectly. There's a little notch, and I do that sometimes. I forget. There's a notch there, and there's a notch there, and then it just. Oh yeah, look at that. See, that goes back, goes on just perfect. That works out nice. That'll be good. Let's see how that fit is. These are sometimes. And that actually fits quite nicely in there. A little bit of wiggle, but you know, they all have that. They pretty much all have that. They're not. The nice thing about a Diplo set is it's the one desk set where you can say, well, you know, it's pretty much, unless it's empty, it's going to start every time. So that's, I'll just show you real quick the bases, and then I am basically done. So hang on just a second. So these are all the bases that these pens are going to go into. I've got some replacement felt that I've done up for a couple of these bases, but nice, what they call a telephone dialer, gray, burgundy. So this one, well, I don't know. I don't know yet. The sand goes really nicely in the brown. I think it's a really, really good choice. Maybe my favorite color. This teal is awesome. Really nice. A bunch of standard blacks. And then this one here in Seafoam, which is a lovely, lovely color. So this is this all the colors? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's any other colors that I'm missing here? That might be all the colors. I don't know. And actually, you know, I got a gray base in here. Gray. I could do this. Although these don't really match up very well. I'm better off, I got to polish these up a little bit, but I'm better off putting a black in there, and then this would look better in a standard 8-ball. Oh, I took it out of order. Which one was gray? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. So yeah, that's what we got. Like a big old bucket of sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I actually have 2 other desk pens, black pens that I've already finished. So these will be the latest batch. And then they can just go in my display until someone decides they have to have them. But for now, I don't have any other to the best of my knowledge, any other diplo spaces that will be for sale. So it will be just this one. I can't remember if I have any left on the website or not, but so that's what these are all going into. I gotta put the new felt on the bottom of 2 of these. You know. So we got that. And then next week we can start off a new batch. I am inclined to do this guy. This is a stunning, got a little sticker residue here. Original Parker brass. This is a heavy piece, actually, very heavy piece. It doesn't look like much, but it's brass. And this is the moire taper, which is pretty scarce. And it's, the barrel is not marked dual fold, but it's essentially a dual fold. It's got a dual fold nib on it, and then a button filler. So I got this recently. I got to clean it up. We'll just put a new sack in it. We need to reset this. There we go. Yeah, isn't that nice? I have one of these that I've kept for myself, and I never expected to find another of these. So Parker made a bunch of these moire tapers in different colors, but yellow is I think the most outstanding. And they actually had special bases for them. This actually works. I don't know if it's correct or not. It could be. It doesn't really matter. It fits. It's beautiful. It's got a very small form factor. I mean, you consider it next to a dipless. And it's got this swivel, real nice swivel on it. It's a solid piece of kit for sure. Yeah, in fact, and it's got the clutch, even though this is a threaded barrel, it's got a clutch. So back in the day, Parker would sell you a cap, or you could get these with the cap and a blind cap, and then this would be a pocket pen. But you can just, there's a clutch in there, so you don't have to thread it into the taper. So we're going to do that one next week. That's pretty special. That's a pretty scarce pen. I showed mine to Doug Berg in Chicago this year, and he said he hadn't seen one of these in 15 years, something like that. So it's a pretty cool piece. So we'll do that. We'll pick out some other pens. I got trays of them. So we'll do that, and we'll go from there. So thanks for everybody for tuning in. That's really pretty much going to be it for today. I just had a little extra time this morning since I was here late last night, and I wanted to get those done, so I'm very happy about that. That means we'll be able to show those off in their entirety a week from today, and hopefully have them on the website in less than a week, if anybody's interested in any of that stuff. And we'll go from there. So other news, podcast at 1:30 p.m. Central Time today here on YouTube. Sorry, Twitchers. Hope the rest of the day goes well. Thanks, Olive. I appreciate it so much. And we'll go from there. All right. So thanks everybody for tuning in for this little extra special. Don't get used to it. I probably won't do it very often. But I needed to do it. So if I sell desk sets and I complete desk sets, it makes Lisa happy. So if Lisa ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So, all right. Take care, Chronic. And we will see you this afternoon, 1:30 p.m. Central on YouTube for the podcast. All right, everybody. Take care. Thanks a lot. Bye now.